One laugh. That's all it took to destroy everything she'd built. A reality TV star with hundreds of thousands of followers, brand partnerships, and a platform that most people would do anything for. Gone. In the time it takes to watch a TikTok, her entire career came crashing down. This is about Huda from Love Island USA Season 7, and what happened on that live stream is just the tip of the iceberg. Because to understand how someone falls this hard, this fast, you have to see the whole picture. From her time in the villa with Nicolandria, Taylor, and the rest of the cast, to that fateful moment that changed everything. The Love Island drama you're about to hear goes deeper than anything shown on the dating show itself. The keywords everyone's searching right now: Love Island Huda, Nicolandria, Nick and Olandria, Ace, Taylor, Love Island USA Season 7, Sierra, and this whole dating show disaster. And trust me, by the end of this, you'll understand why this story has the internet absolutely losing it. But before we dive into the chaos, if you're into reality TV tea and drama that'll make your jaw drop, smash that subscribe button. Seriously, do it now, because this channel is about to become your guilty pleasure headquarters. Plus, you'll need to be subscribed for part 2 of this mess. Okay, let's get into it. Huda Mustafa walked into the Love Island USA villa during Season 7 with confidence that could fill a stadium. She knew what she wanted, and from day one, she made it clear that nothing was going to stand in her way. Her target? Jeremiah. And from the moment she set her sights on him, the villa would never be the same. Now, Love Island is a dating show where people are supposed to explore connections, right? You're supposed to talk to different people, see who you vibe with, maybe recouple if something better comes along. That's literally the entire premise. But Huda had other plans. She latched onto Jeremiah with a grip so tight that even the other islanders started raising eyebrows. Chelley, Nicolandria, Taylor, and the rest of the girls would whisper about how intense things were getting. It wasn't just couple goals, it was possessive behavior disguised as loyalty. Villa started to split. Some viewers at home thought Huda was just a girl who knew what she wanted and wasn't afraid to fight for it. Others saw something darker brewing beneath the surface. Every time a new bombshell walked in, Huda's insecurity would spike. She'd spiral into jealousy and make Jeremiah's life absolutely miserable with constant questioning and accusations. The guy couldn't even have a friendly conversation without Huda analyzing every word, every glance, every breath. Then came the moment that would define her entire Love Island experience. America voted. And when America votes on Love Island, they're sending a message. The public decided that Jeremiah needed to be coupled up with Iris, not as punishment, but as an opportunity to see if there was something worth exploring outside of the suffocating relationship he'd found himself trapped in. The villa erupted. Huda absolutely lost it. She didn't just cry or express disappointment, she went full meltdown mode, accusing everyone of being against her, claiming that America hated her, and making Jeremiah feel guilty for something he had zero control over. The other islanders tried to comfort her, but it was like trying to put out a forest fire with a water pistol. Nicolandria and some of the other girls attempted to be supportive, but Huda's victim mentality was already in overdrive. This wasn't just drama anymore, this was a pattern starting to reveal itself. After America's vote threw Jeremiah into a coupling with Iris, things in the villa got complicated fast. Huda couldn't handle the idea of her man exploring another connection, even though that's exactly what the show is designed for. She made it her personal mission to make sure Jeremiah knew she was watching his every move, and I mean every single move. Jeremiah tried his best to navigate the situation respectfully. He talked to Iris, got to know her, and honestly, they seemed to have genuine chemistry. But every conversation he had with Iris came with a side of guilt, because Huda would be watching from across the villa with eyes that could burn holes through steel. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. But here's where things got really weird. Huda started making demands that even the most loyal Love Island viewers found absolutely unhinged. She wanted to know where Jeremiah was at all times. She wanted access to his phone location. She wanted to control who he talked to and for how long. This wasn't love. This was surveillance disguised as devotion. Other couples in the villa started noticing the red flags waving so hard they could generate electricity. Eventually, Jeremiah had to make a choice. And surprisingly, he chose his own sanity. He started pulling back from Huda, which only made her double down on the dramatics. Every challenge, every recoupling, every group conversation became a battlefield. The other islanders were exhausted just watching it unfold. Nicolandria would later talk about how draining it was to be around that level of emotional manipulation day after day. Then came the elimination that shocked everyone. Jeremiah got voted out. Not because America didn't like him, but because the storyline had run its course, and frankly, he probably needed a break from the intensity. When he left the villa, Huda played the devastated girlfriend card hard. Tears, speeches, promises to wait for him on the outside. The whole production. But anyone paying attention could see that Jeremiah walked out of that villa looking like a man who'd just been released from captivity. After Jeremiah's exit, Huda was supposed to move on and explore other connections. That's what you do on Love Island. You're there to find love, and sometimes that means accepting when something isn't working and trying again. But Huda's approach to moving on was as messy as her relationship with Jeremiah had been. Casa Amor is the ultimate test on Love Island. It's when the villa splits, new bombshells come in, and everyone's loyalty gets put under a microscope. For Huda, it was supposed to be a fresh start, a chance to show that she could move on from Jeremiah and find something real with someone new. Instead, it became another chapter in her growing list of controversial moments. She tried connecting with Chris at first. They had conversations, shared some laughs, and it seemed like maybe she was actually moving forward. But then came the heart rate challenge, and everything went sideways. For those who don't know, the heart rate challenge is when islanders dress up and perform dances to see whose heart rate they can raise the most. It's supposed to be fun, flirty, and a little bit cheeky. Huda took it way too far. Her performance with Ace crossed lines that made even the most open-minded viewers uncomfortable. The other girls in the villa exchanged glances that said everything. Nicolandria, Chelley, and the rest were not impressed. What was supposed to be playful entertainment turned into something that felt calculated and attention-seeking. It wasn't about having fun anymore, it was about making sure all eyes were on her, no matter what it took. The friendships she'd built in the villa started crumbling. Chelley, who had been one of her closest allies, began pulling away. Nicolandria, who goes by Nick and Olandria together and had tried to be supportive through all the Jeremiah drama, started distancing herself too. Taylor and the other islanders noticed the shift. Huda was becoming isolated, and instead of reflecting on why that might be happening, she doubled down on playing the victim. After the show ended and everyone returned to real life, things got even messier. Huda appeared on the Call Her Daddy podcast and made claims that absolutely baffled her former castmates. She said she'd been bullied in the villa, that the other girls had ganged up on her, that she was targeted unfairly. The same islanders who'd tried to support her through her breakdowns were now being painted as villains in her narrative. Nicolandria, Chelley, Iris, and Hannah all responded, not with anger, but with confusion and disappointment. They shared their own experiences, receipts of conversations, and moments that contradicted Huda's version of events. The Love Island community had to decide who to believe, and as more cast members spoke out, a pattern became crystal clear. Huda wasn't the victim she claimed to be. She was someone who refused to take accountability for her own actions and behaviors. Now, to understand why what happened next hit so hard, we need to talk about JaNa from Love Island USA Season 6. Her story runs parallel to this entire situation in ways that are absolutely wild. JaNa had been in a relationship with a guy named Kenny during her season. They seemed happy on the show, coupled up, making plans for the outside world. But after the camera stopped rolling, everything fell apart. Messages surfaced, screenshots started circulating online. Kenny had allegedly been saying some absolutely vile things behind JaNa's back, things that revealed he'd never actually respected her. Conversations where he admitted to using her for fame and clout, words that cut deep and showed his true character. JaNa went through his phone and found text messages that broke her heart and exposed him to the entire Love Island fanbase. When JaNa spoke about what happened, the community rallied around her. People who'd been rooting for their relationship felt betrayed. Kenny went from fan favorite to persona non grata faster than you can say recoupling ceremony. It seemed like everyone understood that what he did was wrong, that his behavior was unacceptable, and that JaNa deserved better. Fast forward to the Huda situation. When Huda Beauty, the makeup company, released a statement saying they were ending their partnership with Huda, the Love Island star, JaNa commented on the post. Just 3 words: love to see it. She was supporting accountability. She was saying that brands should stand by their values and not platform people who perpetuate harmful behavior. It was a simple comment, supporting consequences for actions. But Huda's fans absolutely lost their minds. Instead of reflecting on why a brand would drop their favorite influencer, they went on the attack. And their target? JaNa. The same JaNa who'd been hurt by Kenny. The fans flooded Kenny's Instagram with comments like, "You did the right thing," "King Kenny," "We owe you an apology," and "Glad I never unfollowed you." Kenny liked these comments. He engaged with them. He was being uplifted by people using JaNa's pain as a weapon. Think about how twisted that is. Huda's fanbase was so determined to defend her that they decided to support someone who'd admitted to being manipulative and harmful. They were using someone else's traumatic experience as ammunition in a completely unrelated situation. JaNa hadn't done anything except support accountability. She wasn't inserting herself into drama. She was standing up for what's right. And the response was to weaponize her worst relationship experience against her. The hypocrisy was staggering. The same fans crying that Huda was being unfairly treated were now treating someone else unfairly. The same people demanding grace and understanding for their fave were showing zero grace to others. It exposed something ugly about stan culture and the lengths people will go to defend someone they've never even met. October 28th started like any other day for Huda. She'd survived the post-Love Island scrutiny, kept her platform, and was building her influencer career. She decided to go live on TikTok with Lewis Russell, another reality TV personality. It was supposed to be casual, fun, an opportunity to interact with fans and show that everything was fine. Instead, it became the moment that would define the rest of her career. They were answering questions, laughing, doing the typical influencer livestream content. Then someone called in, an anonymous caller. And what came out of that phone call would be recorded, screenshotted, and shared millions of times across every social media platform imaginable. The caller dropped a slur, a deeply offensive word directed at Nicolandria, who goes by Olandria as well, one of Huda's former Love Island castmates. Here's what happened next. Huda laughed. Not an uncomfortable giggle, not a shocked gasp, a full laugh. Lewis laughed too. They didn't immediately shut it down. They didn't condemn it. They didn't end the call or apologize. They laughed like someone had just told a hilarious joke instead of using language designed to dehumanize and hurt. The internet moves fast, but this moved faster than usual. Within minutes, the clip was everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Reddit, Facebook. Every corner of the internet was dissecting those few seconds of footage. People were recording it, posting it, analyzing the expressions on their faces, the timing of the laughter, everything. There was no way to spin it. The evidence was crystal clear. Huda's initial response was to claim it was nervous laughter, that she didn't know how to react in the moment, that she was caught off guard and her brain just short-circuited. But anyone who watched the video could see that explanation didn't hold water. There was no shock in her expression, no horror, no immediate correction, just laughter. The kind of laughter that suggested she found it funny. The Love Island community erupted. Fans who'd been defending Huda through all the villa drama couldn't defend this. Castmates who'd stayed quiet during the Call Her Daddy controversy were now speaking out loudly and clearly. This wasn't about petty reality TV beef anymore. This was about basic human decency and respect. And Huda had failed the test spectacularly. If you're still watching and this story is blowing your mind, go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because trust me, it gets even wilder from here. Plus, drop a comment and let me know what you think about all this. Are you team accountability or team second chances? Okay, back to the chaos. Nicolandria, the target of that slur on the live stream, didn't immediately respond. Sometimes silence speaks volumes. But when she finally did address it, her words hit like a freight train. She talked about the harm caused by that moment, not just to her, but to everyone who has to deal with that kind of language in their daily lives. She explained that laughing at hatred, even if you're not the one saying it, is still participating in hatred. Her statement was powerful, measured, and devastating. She didn't attack Huda personally. She didn't call for her cancellation. She simply laid out the facts and explained why it hurt, why it mattered, why it couldn't be dismissed as just a mistake or a moment of poor judgment. The response from other Love Island alums was swift and unified. Chelley, who'd been friends with Huda in the villa, spoke out. She made it clear that there was no excuse for what happened, that staying silent would make her complicit, that friendship doesn't mean blindly supporting someone when they mess up this badly. Iris chimed in with similar sentiments. Hannah, too. One by one, the Season 7 cast made their positions known. They stood with Nicolandria. They stood with accountability. The Love Island community split into two camps. On one side, you had people who understood that actions have consequences, that laughing at a slur is participating in harm, that Huda needed to take responsibility and face the fallout from her choices. On the other side, you had her dedicated fans who insisted she was being unfairly targeted, that it was just nervous laughter, that everyone makes mistakes and deserves forgiveness. But here's the thing about forgiveness. It requires genuine remorse. It requires acknowledgement of the harm caused. It requires a commitment to do better. And Huda's response was lacking in all those areas. Her apology, when it finally came, felt hollow. It read like something written by a PR team trying to do damage control, rather than actual reflection and growth. The phrases were generic, the accountability was minimal, the excuses were plentiful. Fans defending Huda tried to argue that she was being held to an impossible standard, that people were looking for reasons to tear her down, that her past villa behavior was being unfairly connected to this incident. But the reality was simpler. This wasn't about perfection, this was about basic decency. And when you fail at basic decency on a public platform, people are going to call it out. The debate raged across social media. Think pieces were written, video essays were made. Everyone had an opinion. But through it all, one thing remained constant. The people who'd actually been in the villa with Huda, who'd seen her behavior up close, who'd given her chances and grace and friendship, were not defending her. That spoke volumes. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Huda, the Love Island star, shared a first name with Huda Katan, the billionaire founder of Huda Beauty. When the makeup brand decided to partner with the reality TV personality, it seemed like a match made in influencer heaven. Same name, huge platform, beauty content potential. The campaign launched with professional photos, promotional codes, and all the typical influencer partnership fanfare. Huda Mustafa was living the dream. Brand deals are the holy grail for reality TV stars trying to transition into legitimate influencer careers. The money is better, the stability is real, and it legitimizes you in an industry that's constantly questioning whether reality stars have actual value beyond their 15 minutes of fame. She posted the campaign photos, thanked the brand, and probably thought this was just the beginning of many partnerships to come. Then the live stream happened, and Huda Beauty's PR team went into crisis mode. Because here's the thing about major beauty brands in 2025. They can't afford to be associated with controversy like this. The beauty community has become incredibly conscious about who they support and platform. One wrong move, one problematic partnership, and the entire brand can face boycotts that tank their sales. Huda Beauty released a statement that was short, direct, and left no room for interpretation. They were ending their partnership with Huda Mustafa effective immediately. They scrubbed all the campaign materials from their social media. The promotional codes were deactivated. The professional photos disappeared. It was like the partnership had never existed. The brand made it clear that their values didn't align with what happened on that live stream. The statement didn't drag Huda. It didn't go into specific details about the incident. It simply said that after careful consideration, they were parting ways. Professional, clean, and absolutely devastating to Huda's career prospects. Because when a brand as major as Huda Beauty drops you publicly, other brands take notice. It sends a message to every potential partnership opportunity. It says that working with this person comes with risk. Within hours of the statement, other dominoes started falling. Bella Hadid, who'd followed Huda just weeks earlier, hit the unfollow button. Now, Bella is Palestinian, just like Huda Katan. She's been outspoken about her heritage and various social issues. The fact that she followed Huda in the first place suggested some level of support or interest. But that follow lasted less than a month before she quietly removed herself from any association. People noticed immediately, because that's what happens when you're in the public eye. Every follow, every unfollow, every like gets analyzed and discussed. Fans started speculating about what made Bella change her mind. Did she hear about the live stream? Did someone tell her about Huda's villa behavior? Did she just decide the association wasn't worth the potential backlash? Whatever the reason, the message was clear. Even people who might have initially supported her were distancing themselves. The speed of Huda's fall was remarkable. One day she had brand partnerships, celebrity follows, and a platform that seemed stable. The next, it was all crumbling. Companies that had been in talks with her for future partnerships quietly backed away. Other influencers who'd been friendly stopped engaging with her content. The isolation that started in the Love Island villa was now happening on a much larger, more public scale. If Huda's response to the controversy was bad, her fan base's reaction was somehow even worse. Instead of encouraging her to take accountability, learn from the mistake, and genuinely apologize, they went on the offensive. Their logic was twisted but consistent. If everyone was attacking Huda, they'd attack everyone else right back. And their primary targets? The very people who had every right to be upset. They flooded comment sections defending Huda's laughter as innocent. They created narratives about nervous reactions and unfair treatment. They pulled out screenshots of other islanders' past mistakes and tried to deflect attention away from what actually happened. It was classic stan behavior taken to an extreme level. Instead of holding their favorite accountable, they doubled down and made the situation exponentially worse. The attack on JaNa was particularly nasty. Remember, she'd simply commented, "Love to see it," on Huda Beauty's statement. 3 words supporting a brand decision. But Huda's fans treated it like she'd declared war. They went to Kenny's page and tried to rehabilitate his image just to hurt JaNa. They told him he was right to treat her the way he did. They apologized for ever doubting him. They used her pain as a weapon, all in the name of defending someone who laughed at hatred on a live stream. This behavior revealed something really disturbing about stan culture. When you're so invested in defending a person that you're willing to hurt others to do it, you've lost the plot. When you're using incidents of genuine harm as gotcha moments in internet arguments, you're not helping your favorite. You're actually making things worse. Because every nasty comment, every defensive deflection, every attack on someone else just reinforces why people are criticizing Huda in the first place. Some fans tried to make it about other islanders being jealous.
They claimed that Nicolandria and the others were just bitter about Huda's success, that they were using this situation to tear down someone who was more popular than them. But that narrative fell apart immediately. Nicolandria had her own successful post-show career. She didn't need to manufacture drama for attention. She was responding to being directly targeted by a slur and seeing someone laugh about it. The fan behavior created a perfect example of why platforms need accountability. When you build a fan base that's willing to attack others on your behalf, when you cultivate an environment where criticism is met with harassment instead of reflection, you're responsible for that culture. Huda had multiple opportunities to tell her fans to stand down, to ask them not to attack others, to model the kind of behavior she claimed to value. She didn't do any of that. Her silence was permission. Other Love Island alums from various seasons watched this unfold with growing concern because they'd seen this pattern before. The show has a troubled history with fan backlash getting out of control. People have been harassed off social media. Mental health has suffered. And in the worst cases, the constant negativity has contributed to tragedies that nobody wants to think about, but everyone needs to remember. 3 former Love Island contestants have taken their own lives after facing relentless online harassment. 3 people who went on a dating show looking for love and ended up dealing with hate that became unbearable. That's the context everyone should keep in mind when they're deciding how to engage with reality TV drama. It's entertainment, sure, but these are real people with real feelings and real lives beyond the show. Looking back at Huda's entire journey from entering the villa to the live stream controversy, a clear pattern emerges, and it's not pretty. Every time she faced criticism or consequences, the response was the same: deflect, play victim, refuse accountability. In the villa with Jeremiah, it was everyone else's fault. When friendships fell apart, she was being bullied. When the live stream blew up, it was nervous laughter. The playbook never changed. This kind of behavior doesn't happen in a vacuum. It gets enabled by fans who refuse to criticize, by people who make excuses instead of demanding better, by a culture that prizes loyalty to individuals over loyalty to principles. Huda's fans thought they were helping her by defending every action and attacking every critic. In reality, they were preventing her from growing, learning, and becoming someone better.
The villa behavior should have been a warning sign. The possessiveness with Jeremiah, the inappropriate challenge performance, the call her daddy lies about being bullied, all of it pointed to someone who struggled with accountability. But instead of addressing those issues, they got glossed over or explained away. And without consequences, without genuine reflection, the behavior escalated. When Nicolandria and the other castmates spoke out after the live stream, they weren't just defending themselves. They were trying to prevent this pattern from continuing. They were saying that enough is enough. That reality TV drama is one thing, but participating in genuine harm is another. They were drawing a line that should have been drawn much earlier. The Love Island franchise itself bears some responsibility here too. The show has a history of keeping problematic contestants around for drama and ratings. They'll watch someone display concerning behavior and keep them in the villa because it makes for compelling television. But at what cost? When does entertainment cross the line into exploitation? When does giving someone a platform become enabling their worst impulses? Huda should have been held accountable in the villa, not necessarily kicked off, but seriously talked to about her behavior patterns. The producers could have intervened when the possessiveness with Jeremiah reached unhealthy levels. They could have addressed the inappropriate challenge moment. They could have facilitated real conversations instead of letting tensions simmer and explode. But that's not how reality TV works. Dysfunction gets rewarded with screen time. Now, in 2025, we're seeing a shift. Audiences are less willing to tolerate problematic behavior just because it's entertaining. Brands are quicker to distance themselves from controversy. The internet has a longer memory and faster consequences than ever before. Huda's fall from grace happened at lightning speed because the tolerance for this kind of thing is evaporating, and that's probably a good thing. But it also raises questions about forgiveness and growth. Is there a path back for someone like Huda? Could genuine accountability and effort to do better rehabilitate her image? Or is this the kind of mistake that permanently defines someone's public persona? The answer probably depends on what comes next, on whether she learns from this or continues the pattern of deflection and victimhood. As of today, Huda's social media presence has taken a massive hit. Her follower count is dropping steadily as people decide they don't want to support her anymore. The engagement on her posts is cratered. Comments are either from die-hard defenders or people criticizing her, with not much middle ground left. The influencer career she was building is essentially over unless something dramatic changes. The Love Island Season 7 cast has mostly moved on with their lives. Nicolandria is thriving with partnerships and opportunities that actually value her. Taylor, Ace, and the others are building their own paths without the drama. They've made it clear where they stand, said what needed to be said, and now they're focusing on their own futures. That's probably the healthiest response possible. JaNa from Season 6 continues to speak out about accountability and hasn't backed down from her position despite the harassment from Huda's fans. She's become something of an unlikely voice for taking responsibility and not excusing harmful behavior. Her experience with Kenny gave her a unique perspective on why these situations matter and why staying silent enables more harm. Huda Beauty, the company, has moved on completely. They've launched new campaigns with other influencers, made it clear their brand values are non-negotiable, and haven't looked back. For them, it was a business decision that protected their reputation and bottom line. Cold, maybe, but understandable given the circumstances. Brands have to think about their entire consumer base, not just one influencer's platform. Bella Hadid hasn't commented on the unfollow, which is typical for celebrity social media moves. She doesn't owe anyone an explanation for who she chooses to support or not support online. The fact that she followed in the first place might have been simply checking out another Palestinian woman in entertainment, and the unfollow might have been learning more about the situation. Either way, the message was received. The broader Love Island community is having necessary conversations about fan behavior, platform responsibility, and accountability. Some fans are reflecting on how their own defensive reactions might contribute to harmful cultures. Others are doubling down on their positions. It's messy, uncomfortable, and exactly the kind of reckoning that needs to happen in reality TV fandoms. What's wild is how fast everything moved. From the live stream on October 28th, to losing the Huda Beauty partnership, to castmates speaking out, to the social media exodus. In previous years, this kind of controversy might have blown over after a news cycle or two. People would move on to the next drama. But in 2025, the internet doesn't forget, and consequences come quick. The question everyone's asking is whether Huda will actually learn from this or continue down the same path. Will she post a genuine apology that acknowledges the harm without excuses? Will she take time away from social media to reflect and grow? Will she have conversations with the people she hurt and try to make genuine amends? Or will she retreat into her fan base, play victim, and wait for the next news cycle to distract from her mistakes? This situation is about more than one person's career implosion. It's about how we handle accountability in the age of social media, about what we tolerate from people we admire, about the responsibility that comes with having a platform. Huda's story is a cautionary tale, but it's also a reflection of larger issues in influencer culture and reality TV fandoms. When someone builds a following, they gain influence. That's literally what makes them an influencer. But with that influence comes responsibility. The things you say, the things you laugh at, the things you remain silent about, all of it sends messages to your audience. Huda's laughter on that live stream told her followers that laughing at slurs was acceptable, that it was funny, that it was no big deal. And when your fan base then goes out and harasses others in your name, using harmful incidents as weapons, attacking people for supporting accountability, you've created a culture that perpetuates harm. That's not loyalty. That's not defending someone you care about. That's enabling and amplifying the exact behavior that got criticized in the first place. The Love Island franchise has dealt with these issues before and will deal with them again. Dating shows are drama magnets by design. You put attractive people in close quarters, add alcohol, create artificial pressure, and film everything. Of course conflicts will emerge. But there's a difference between typical reality TV beef and behavior that crosses into genuinely harmful territory. What happened with Huda crosses that line. Villa drama about recoupling or who said what to whom is par for the course. That's entertainment. But laughing at language designed to dehumanize someone is different. That's not drama, that's harm. And the show, the fans, and the influencer all need to recognize that distinction. The conservatism that some people have noted in Gen Z and Alpha generation responses to this situation is interesting. There seems to be a subset of younger fans who prioritize loyalty to individuals over principles, who will defend their favorite no matter what because admitting they were wrong feels like personal failure. This is the same energy that leads to political cults of personality, the same refusal to acknowledge mistakes that creates echo chambers. We've seen where that leads. When people become more invested in defending a person than in standing up for what's right, everyone loses. The person being defended doesn't get the feedback they need to grow. The people being hurt don't get justice or acknowledgement, and the community as a whole becomes more toxic and divided. It's a losing proposition all around. So what's the solution? It starts with individuals taking responsibility. Huda needs to genuinely acknowledge what happened, why it was wrong, and what she's doing to ensure it never happens again. Her fans need to stop attacking others and start encouraging accountability. The Love Island franchise needs to think carefully about who they platform and how they handle contestants who display problematic behavior. But it also requires all of us, as viewers and consumers of this content, to think about what we're supporting. Are we following people because we genuinely admire them or because we're invested in the drama? Are we engaging with content in ways that build people up or tear them down? Are we holding everyone to the same standards or making excuses for people we like? These aren't easy questions, and there aren't always clear answers, but asking them is important, because reality TV is just entertainment until it isn't, until real people face real consequences, until harassment becomes unbearable, until someone gets genuinely hurt. And at that point, everyone who contributed to the culture that allowed it to happen shares some responsibility. Huda's journey from Love Island contestant to controversial influencer to canceled reality star happened in the span of months. It's a modern cautionary tale about fame, accountability, and the permanent nature of internet mistakes. That livestream laugh will follow her forever. Every future opportunity, every potential partnership, every attempt to rebuild will have to address what happened on October 28th. The saddest part might be that it was all preventable. If she'd immediately shut down the caller and condemned what was said, this would be a completely different story. If her initial Villa behavior had been checked and corrected, maybe the pattern never would have escalated. If she'd taken accountability at any point instead of deflecting, forgiveness might have been possible. But that's not what happened. Instead, we got excuses, deflections, and a fan base that made everything worse by attacking anyone who dared to criticize. We got a masterclass in how not to handle controversy. We got a perfect example of why accountability matters and why staying silent enables harm. The Love Island Season 7 cast will move forward. Most of them already have. They've said their piece, stood by their values, and now they're building careers based on their own merits. Nicolandria, Taylor, Ace, Sierra, and the rest don't need this drama to stay relevant. They have their own stories to tell, their own paths to walk. JaNa from Season 6 proved that taking a stand matters, even when it brings harassment your way. Her willingness to comment, "love to see it," and then weather the storm showed courage that Huda's fans should admire instead of attack. That's what actual strength looks like, not blindly defending someone who refuses to take responsibility. The influencer landscape will continue evolving. Brands will keep making calculated decisions about who to partner with. Audiences will keep demanding better from the people they platform. And hopefully, future reality TV stars will learn from Huda's mistakes and understand that a single moment can change everything. This story isn't over. Huda could still choose accountability and growth. Her fans could still choose to stop attacking others and encourage better behavior. The conversation's being hilarious.